When someone contracts a landscaper, what are their general expectations?
I feel like a lot of the times the general expectations are, pruning and maintenance mostly. I feel like that's what people think about when they hire a landscaper. It could have to do with a lot about gardening and, plant placement and just ordinary things outside. There is a differentiation between people that hire for stuff that to be done on their house. They usually get like a general contractor in that sense. And a lot of landscapers and landscape companies operate on a specialty license where they just do stuff that's outside, and they have certain things called landscape walls that don't exceed 4 feet, so you don't need engineering. And a lot of people focus on those sort of things, whether it be natural rock walls or modular rock walls, and working on structures that don't involve structural integrity, as much as connecting it to a house. That's what people think about when they're hiring a landscaper mostly. Just non-house modifications and things to do with outside wear and tear. It could be simple as just pressure washing a driveway, making sure that's maintained, whether it be on a contractual basis or people just let it go and then they come clean it up, or somebody wants just their deck resurfaced and it doesn't have anything to do with structural integrity. That can be easily redone, or even just normal repairs or restaining. A lot of landscape companies do those sort of things. General, just outside preventative maintenance.
What are the hardest goals to realize towards making a customer satisfied?
Some of the hardest things to realize is that a lot of people cannot see what they want until you give it to them. And whether that be through trial and error, through designs, or just forming the project the best you can from their descriptions and helping them along the way of seeing what you can provide in your sense of their interpretation of their grander vision, And that grander vision could be as simple as just straight lines to curves. And you just give them the options, and whatever they seem to, generally go towards, you just create that in your brand and you sell that sort of thing. But it changes person to person, and you just got to read the people and figure out what it is that you want to accomplish. And then the end goal is to find a middle ground of interpretation to aesthetics to structure, and then be able to combine that all into something and have everybody be happy with it. There's been no project that I've designed that's been from paper to real stayed exactly the same. It always changes, because no matter how many ratios you put into it, somebody's gonna see it in a certain kind of light and a certain kind of day. They're gonna actually I like it to be this way because it catches my eye better, whether it be the standard or whether it be a commonplace thing to do. It's all about what they want in the end, because it's all about taste, and 90% of what we do is aesthetics, and the 10% is just making sure it doesn't fall apart.
When calculating an estimate, what elements do you have to figure in to arrive at your final price?
Materials, and then design, and then execution. And materials is the easiest part, because you always go about 10% over. So you just kind of figure what you want to use and what it wants to look like. That's the design part, and that's the hardest part, because it goes into what we were talking about before, where you're just trying to figure out what somebody wants. And sometimes they can't envision it, and some people can, and you just got to find that middle ground and help them out. And that's the main part about being successful, is that wear and tear of it, those conversations, the tolerance of things, what's acceptable, what's not.
What advice would you give someone interested in beginning a career in landscaping?
To begin a career in landscaping, you're gonna have to enjoy doing part of the work until you can, have enough employees like everybody else does. to supplement the things that take up your time, where you can work on the design aspect and work on a brand and work on selling yourself more. But that all depends on how far you want to go. You could stay as small as just like a handyman service and just pick up a few things and maintain your life and not get too big. But you know, having a couple employees that are loyal, that are going to help do this, is going to be beneficial to you as well. So the company that you have will definitely benefit you in having a steady flow of repeat customers, one, because you have a way of satisfying them to want to come back. That can spread on to other people saying like, oh, they've done so much good work and everything they do that looks good, that, oh, I can trust this person and this person to do it. So having employees is good, but in the name of it, you're still selling yourself and what you are. So being exceptional and not showing up, you know, like a lot of landscapers are described as like drunks and stuff like that. If you actually show up and have some professionalism and know what you're talking about, where it comes from like the microbiome of plants and nature like that, and being somewhat of a horticulturalist to a botanist in a way, and using these things that school has taught us and incorporating it into a sustainable landscape, as well as following like water management protocols with like pavers and stuff, making it permeable, making it safe for salmon to live, because all these practices that we add for the certain types of gravel and soil help filter all the chemicals that come off our stuff. And that's what I think everybody should aim to do if they're trying to create a sustainable landscaping business. Whether it be you go electric or you just minimize what you're doing, but in the end, you're just trying to make a sustainable place that people can live and help customers increase their property value and make it enjoyable for them to use. So that's what I would say.
What's the greatest misconception people have about landscapers?
That they're lazy, drunkards, addicted to meth, you know.
Oh my god.
They think that you're trying to scam them with but not doing any sort of work or research into stuff, and you're just kind of a ditch digger. They think you just mow lawns like any other person that mows lawns. You know, you don't really have a thought in your head, you just listen to the hum of the lawnmower. And yeah, a lot of people started that way, but it elevates into many other aspects the same as anything else can. I was just talking about, you know, botany and all these things, and if you put plants together that don't cooperate, your garden will die because they require too many sets of nutrients that both can't be provided, and then everything will look like absolute garbage. So you have to think about these aspects, and if you design something that looks bad or catches the eye in the wrong way, everyone's going to think of you like, okay, this guy doesn't really pay attention to what he's doing, doesn't pay attention to what he's talking about. You know, those are the misconceptions. But being on top of those things can separate you apart, which is where you find your niche in this sort of, you know, business. Same with any other construction or builder. Like, yeah, you can be a framer and you can just make a bunch of houses to code and do it as fast as you can, or you can help provide a service where people can go out and enjoy an environment regardless of how much they want to pay for it or what it's going to look like in the end. You can choose that. If it's a job that you're like, oh, this is going to look like, just don't take pictures of it, you know, but still put pride in what you do in the end of the day. And just try to do your best.
What is an interesting anecdote you've had in your experience? Or perhaps the most interesting?
The most interesting is just the people that you surround yourself with, the people that you get trained by and who you know, deem as a mentor. You're never going to see eye to eye with anybody or everybody in your life most of the time, but you just have to tolerate that. And that tolerance, whether it be through a customer, whether it be through a coworker, is what's going to lead you to an avenue of success, because you're going to figure out how to communicate so many other ways than just outbursting or trying to be something without just kind of listening for a bit, figuring out exactly what you want to do with this knowledge, and then you know, execute it. But as experience goes and as anecdotes go, I would say just really the crazy people that you just meet. There's so many people that breathe down your neck. There's so many people that expect so little of you that you impress. There's so many people that you meet and they treat you so well, and they're the customers that you wish you could honestly be a butler for, in a way, because they're just so kind, whether they come from any walk of life. And you meet so many other people. I've met people from New Zealand to China in my escapades. I've worked for Italian lawyers that have this giant Tuscany villa in the middle of a, this non-Italian location that, you can't take any pictures of. The gardeners work full time and they talk about the vacations they're going to take in Hawaii. And, it's not like it's a dreary place to live. There's a lot of places out there that you can't even think about that have money, and just so many things to experience in such a weird line of business where in the end of it, your door really is just mowing some lawns.